Today we are solving equations by completing the square, which is a little bit different than what we had been doing last week when we were working with expressions. Now all of a sudden I have an equal sign and I'm able to solve for x. So this is on page S126, question number 1. Solve each equation by completing the square. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to eyeball the first two terms. And I'm going to take the b term, divide it in half, and think x plus 3 times x plus 3. When I FOIL that out, I get x squared plus 6x plus 9. So in order for me to complete this square, I need to add the positive 9. I still have the positive 4 from the original equation, and then I'm going to need to subtract 9 in order to stay in balance. When I take a look at this trinomial here, this is now equivalent to x plus 3, that entire quantity squared. And when I combine the like terms from the positive 4 and the negative 9, I get negative 5 to equal 0. Let us now solve for x. So let us isolate our variable. So let's add 5 to both sides. I have x plus 3 squared is equal to 5. What I can now do is do the inverse operation. The x is part of a square, so I can take the square root of both sides. Just remember, when you take the square root of both sides, x plus 3 squared works out to be x plus 3. But when I take the square root of a number 5, I'm going to have a positive and a negative answer. Again, to solve for x, I'm going to isolate my variable, and I get x to equal a negative 3 plus or minus radical 5. What that means is technically I have two answers. I have x to equal negative 3 plus radical 5, and I have x to equal negative 3 minus radical 5. For now, keep it in simplest radical form. I would always ask you to convert it to a decimal and round accordingly. So that is question number 1. Let us now take a look at question number 3. So for question number 3, I have x squared minus 8x plus 4. Again, I want to complete my square. So I'm going to take that b term and divide it in half and think x minus 4 times x minus 4. So I'm going to get x squared minus 8x plus 16. So when I complete my square, I have to add a positive 16. I still have the positive 4, and I need to subtract 16. When I take a look at this trinomial, this is equivalent to x minus 4 squared. When I combine my like terms, I get negative 12 to equal 0. Add 12 to both sides. I get x minus 4, entire quantity squared, is equal to 12. And then again, to isolate and solve for x, I have to take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to get x minus 4 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 12. Isolate your variable, I add 4 to both sides, and I get x to equal 4 plus or minus radical 12. Now this one's a little bit different. We have to be careful. Radical 12 is not in simplest radical form. So we have to simplify it. We've done this a while ago. So square root of 12, 1, 4, 9, 16. Okay? It's going to be radical 4 times radical 3. So I get x to equal 4 plus or minus 2 radical 3. And again, there are two answers here, but leave it in simplest radical form.